Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Jhin updated complete guide. Now I've done a complete guide on Jhin already, but obviously that was when he was really weak before all the buffs and all. So now obviously in patch 3.1 he got his health, I believe, nerfed a little bit, but he got scaling on his fourth shot, which is his passive slash his auto attacks, depending on how you want to see it. But it now scales with his level in terms of the damage scaling with the enemy's missing health. Now that was a mouthful, but basically, long story cut short is his fourth shot is going to do more damage depending on how low the enemy's health is. So combine that with the new Stormraizer buffs, which Stormraizer is definitely a Jhin item through and through. Jhin is now in a really good spot. Now, I wouldn't say he is S plus tier. Most people say he's S tier, but I put him in the A plus tier because I think the other Stormraizer users are better than him, and he only really does very well into squishy teams. Into a bit tankier teams, to do well, you're gonna have to snowball, and basically on any champion, if you snowball, you're gonna do well. So I think it's a little bit of a knock on him. But either way, let's jump straight into the build because, as usual, I have put the link to the original Jhin complete guide in the description as well as in the cards above for you guys to view the skills and leveling order, so we don't have to waste time on that. Alright, so here we go with the Jhin build. Now, obviously, the first item we go for is the Stormraizer. It gives you attack, crit, and obviously the attack speed doesn't help. Jhin is going to be converted to AD, so basically just a lot of AD and crit, and obviously that energize passive. So obviously Stormraizer are very strong item. The slow helps Jhin as well. Jhin definitely loves this item. And then normally you go for boots pretty early on Jhin, at least compared to other ADCs. Now generally you go for boots of swiftness. And now, Jhin, in terms of Jhin, movement speed is a very important thing to Jhin. Now, there are two reasons for that. Now the first part of it is the fact that he has completely no mobility at all. So you really need the boots of swiftness to sort of have a little bit more movement speed, and of course the move speed slows also reduced by 30%, so that helps as well. And combined with like when he crits, he gains movement speed. It helps him like kite around, chase enemies down, and all that. So he really needs the boots of swiftness. And for the boot enchant, we're going to talk about it just since we're talking about the boots. Generally, it's a 50-50 between Stasis and Protobelt. QSS is of course an option as well. It'll always be an option, but Stasis is basically if there are a lot of assassins who want to dive you, and Protobelt enchant is if you need a dash. So Jhin has no mobility, this can give him the mobility. So the Protobelt will definitely be very helpful in terms of chasing people running away, you know, just giving him some mobility in general. Next, obviously, you go for the usual 2-item power spike of going for the Infinity Edge. Infinity Edge, of course, gives you a huge injection of AD, more crit, and more crit damage. Now, Jhin obviously guaranteed crits on his 4th shot already, so that is going to be really helpful for him. That's why Jhin sometimes used to rush Infinity Edge as a first item. But, you know, obviously, huge 2-item power spike, huge damage for Jhin. And now on your 3rd spot, obviously, as usual, you go for an energized item. Now, obviously, for me, as I've always said, I always like rapid fire cannon for the safety. In terms of Jhin, where each of his shots do so much damage, even more so you can attack like one huge 4th shot, you know, or you know, just a huge, you know, attack in general. Even if it's not your 4th shot, a huge energized attack, you know, it really is very strong on him. Then you go for the moral reminder, of course, with the penetration, as well as going for the grievous wounds. Now, something about Jhin is he can actually go for early moral reminders, because basically this essentially gives crit and attack damage. This essentially gives attack damage and crit as well. Same deal. This essentially gives crit and attack damage as well, because attack speed is converted to attack damage. So basically all 3 of Jin's first items essentially just gives crit and attack damage. Now crit is important, of course, but Jhin guaranteed crits on his 4th shot regardless. So a lot of times, sometimes you will see Jhin going for something like this, like a early moral reminder 3rd item. Sometimes you even see him going for moral reminder 2nd item. I rarely see that, but I have seen it a couple times before, and I do understand why. Sometimes you're into a team that is just so tanky, you just need that moral reminder. Think about, like, maybe you see an Alistar support. There's a Dr. Mundo in the top lane, and there's like a Nunu in the jungle, for example, like, and there's a Galio in the mid lane. For example, the extreme scenario of 4 tanks in the enemy team. Now, at that point, you rather pick Vayne, but that's beside the point. Assuming you have Jhin, you might want to go for a Moral Reminder early on into the game. Now, for the last item, of course, GA as usual for the revive. Now, honestly, if there were to be an ADC where you don't take GA, it probably would be Jhin. Now, because Jhin, he got buffed on his 4th shot, but you do realize that Jin's rest of his skills still don't scale too well. It's just his 4th shot that scales really well, so sometimes you just need that extra damage on Jhin. So sometimes you actually do go for a full 100% crit build with Moral Reminder mix into the mix. So you go for like a Static Shift as your 4th item. If I lose GA, definitely I'm going for Static Shift first item, but still majority of the time I like to build GA. Now we can move on to the runes and the spells, and finally, we got a little bit more discussion here, because as you can see, we got Weakness and we got Fleet Footwork. It's not Conqueror and Hunter Vampirism anymore again, so we finally have something to discuss. So the first part of it is Fleet Footwork. Now if you notice, in my whole build, I have no Vamp at all, no lifesteal, no nothing. Here we don't have Hunter Vampirism at all. So literally the only sustain you're gonna get is Fleet Footwork. The reason you don't take Conqueror is Jhin attacks way too slow to stack Conqueror. He needs to unload a full clip of 4 bullets and Q somebody's one time to actually stack up the Conqueror, by which time they're probably dead or they probably ran away, except in of course those long team fights. But you basically want to get the Fleet Footwork, of course, mainly because Conqueror is bad, but also the Fleet Footwork is very helpful. Of course, proccing Fleet Footwork gives you more movement speed, which is kind of a stat Jhin really wants, and furthermore, it gives you the sustain in lane. So sometimes, as Jhin, you generally heavy trade a lot in lane because of how strong of an early game you have and how much damage you have. You generally out trade people, and even more so, of course, with the Fleet Footwork, which gives you health. Now, for the second one, it's a really interesting one. Of course, you can go for Hunter Vampirism if you want, but now the reason why people all go for weakness on Jhin is because, first up, not the Boots of Swiftness, but first up, Stormraizer gives a slow. Now, if you slow someone with Stormraizer, it procs weakness, and your following attacks will, deal extra 5% damage. What else procs weakness? Jin's second ability, when it roots someone, procs weakness. Jin's third ability, when someone procs the trap and gets slowed, it procs weakness. What else procs weakness? His ultimate. When they get hit by his ultimate bullet, they get slowed. So basically, every single Jhin skill except his Q, and also his normal auto attacks when they're energized, all proc weakness. So weakness really ramps up his damage a lot, so you gotta take weakness. Now for the second one, as usual, it's a choice between Hunter Titan, Bone Plating, and Adaptive Carapace as well. All are really good options, kind of depends on the match. Adaptive Carapace is really strong because Jhin is very strong and trades a lot in the lane. Hunter Titan, of course, for CC heavy teams, and Bone Plating, of course, for burst heavy teams. Now for the last one, you got actually a couple of options. Now the first option you have is, of course, Hunter Genius. Now Jhin really spell reliant, so I do like the Hunter Genius for that reason. Another option is, of course, Sweet Tooth, which I don't really recommend so much anymore. But another option is Mana Flow Band as well, because Mana Flow Band, he runs out of mana, not very quickly, but he does run out of mana if you're on the map for too long without resetting. So, Mana Flow Band is also an option that I've tested out quite extensively as well, but at the end of the day, I kind of like the Hunter Genius. For the spells, it's the same deal. You always take Flash, you generally take Exhaust 90% of games, because you normally need to exhaust some enemy assassin or backline diver. If not, you just take a barrier. So with all that out of the way, we can move on to the Jhin gameplay. Okay, so here we have the gameplay. Now, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions or any remarks, put them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be addressing them. And yeah, so don't think I've mentioned this yet throughout the video, but Jhin is one of my 2 favorite ADCs, the other being Lucian. Now, people who have watched my channel for a long time probably know that I say that in basically every Lucian video and Jhin video that I made, although I didn't really make that many Jhin videos because Jhin was pretty irrelevant to the meta for a long time. In fact, like before this, like now he's viable like in A+/S tier depending on how you want to see it, but before this, like it was pretty much between like Jhin, Tristana, Ashe, and like some people think Misfortune. Like between the 4 of them, who is the worst ADC in the game? And I think majority of the people actually thought it was Jhin. So you know, that's not a good spot for my boy Jhin. So anyways, now he is, you know, a lot more viable with the Stormraizer, with the buffs. So now we are, you know, we're in the mix, you know, making a Jhin video. And I've played a lot of Jhin in the current season. Now obviously I like Jhin a lot, but you know, Jhin, you know, Jhin is, it's pretty hard to play in terms of the fact he has no mobility. Like, your positioning is very, very important. Speaking of which, we're overextended and Fizz comes waltzing in, trying to get a kill on us. He manages to kill the Lux, and yeah, that's not good. I get tagged by the Jinx Zap, and she still has the reset from getting excited. She tanks a tower shot and kills me. Now that's not a good look for me. Clearly I underestimated how much damage Jinx does. And you know, Jinx, I ranked Jinx in S+ tier for a reason, despite it being relatively controversial of an opinion in my opinion. But I really think Jinx is really that strong. There is a sample of why that's the case, and now we're in deep trouble. Because Jinx now has 2 kills in the first minute of the game, basically. So we're in deep trouble. And yeah, so this is a little bit more of an interesting one. This is not so stompy, at least not from the get-go. I actually don't remember what this gameplay, what happens in this gameplay. Because this was some time ago, as you guys may or may not know. You know, I had to take a break from making videos for a couple of days due to a bit of a sore throat and a cough. So this footage was even before that period, but I haven't actually gone around to making the video. Now this was in 3.1, it wasn't in 3.1, so it wasn't that long ago. But you know, I played a lot since then. I've recorded a lot of other footage since then. I made a lot of other videos since then, so can't really remember fully what happens. But either way, it doesn't really affect you know, the video at all. I'm just gonna be, you know, giving you guys the guide, you know, commenting over the gameplay, you know, as we go along. It doesn't really change anything. Now, Jhin, when you have your frost shot, you want to try your best to actually frost shot an enemy like that. As an enemy, you know what Jhin wants to do. You don't want to let him frost shot you for free. You want to try to bait him in, you know, to frost shot you and take advantage of that. Or you want to just simply not be in range to get frost shot in the first place. Because Jin's frost shot does a lot of damage. Now here, we got to engage by the Nami onto our side. Here I exhaust the Jinx and try my best to do damage to her. Now if you guys notice, I'm putting down my traps as I'm kiting back to proc my weakness. Without proccing that weakness, I definitely wouldn't have gotten the kill onto Jinx. So I get the shutdown of the triggers, and here I out to try to find the Nami, and there we go. I tag the Nami, which gives vision to the Lux, which allows Lux to snipe her from downtown in the base. So really nice combo by me and the Lux. Now Jhin and Lux is a pretty strong combo, because the moment Lux hits a binding, you basically are guaranteed to hit Jin's W. I believe it's called the Deadly Flourish. You hit Jin's W. If you want to, you can even put a trap on them, but that's not necessary. You hit the Lux binding, you hit the Jhin W, which allows Lux to charge up her E. I forgot what else. A Lucent Singularity. It allows her to charge up her E longer to do even more damage. And at the same time, during all that CC, you can unload your clip of 4 into that enemy. And it basically all but guarantees a kill. Now, not 100%, but pretty likely you're going to get a kill if Lux hits the binding. So, Jhin Lux, really strong, really aggressive combo in lane. Jhin also does well with other champions, like Jhin basically does well with any support champion. That's kind of one of the good parts about Jhin. So Lux is a really good combo. He does well with something like a Yuumi or an Enchanter as well. He also does very well into tank engage. Like for example, Jhin with a Leona who engages for him, locks them down for him to just free fire onto them. He does really well with that too. So he pretty much works well with almost any support. So really good part about Jhin. Another good part about Jhin is his instant wave. If you look at it, the moment you E a wave, that you can Q W, that clears the wave like instantly. So Jhin has instant wave clear. It did get nerfed a little bit. I believe his E damage to minions got nerfed quite a bit some time ago, but it's still really good. His wave clear is still really good. Okay, anyway, so here the enemy team is doing the Infernal Dragon. Morgana with Black Shield on refuses to walk over the traps, but she still manages to get the Smite steal off, which is amazing. So here the enemy team is all pretty low. I flash in to get the kill onto Fizz. Ari, I mean, I was actually trying to target Fizz, but I didn't actually get him. I get the double onto the Nami. I'm trying to hit my shots onto the Jinx, but I missed them, but doesn't matter, my team cleans them up. Now, something I've noticed about Jin's ultimate is, in Diamond and higher, it's really hard to hit Jin's ultimate. Now, if you hit one shot, you're pretty much going to be hitting the rest because of how it slows them and makes it a lot easier to hit. Here I get the exhaust onto the Riven, and we basically just 3v1 her under the tower. Nothing too impressive about that. Fizz shows up to the party, so we're going to back off because we're not completely sure if he has ult. Now, looking at the replay now, he does have ult, so it was, of course, the right decision. Yeah, so as I was alluding to earlier, in like Diamond and above, it's really hard to hit the Jhin ultimate because, you know, people who have dash, they're going to be dashing out of the way. People can see that line like a half-second delay before the shot actually comes. They can sidestep. Now, personally, when I get ulted by a Jhin, I normally can sidestep almost all 4 shots, even if he launches all 4 shots at me. So, I really think that Jin's ultimate is very hard to hit in higher elo. Now, if like you're playing in plat and below, and I have, you know, on my Smurf, I did actually play Jhin a couple of matches before he got buffed. Actually, I did play like 2 or 3 matches, and I found that it's really easy to hit your frost shot onto the enemy champions because people aren't actually really dodging them. So basically, Emerald and below, it's relatively easy to hit the shots, but you know, higher than that, it's gonna be really difficult. Of course, this depends on the player you're actually trying to hit, whether they're a good dodger or not. But I think in high elo, more often than not, they do dodge relatively well. So his ultimate is really quite difficult to hit. And I think you'll see throughout this gameplay, I don't hit my ultimate all that much, and I don't really think, you know, that's too big of a deal. Obviously, that is a huge aspect of Jhin, which is his ultimate, but yeah, you know, high elo people are good dodgers. Now, you could obviously offer the counterpoint that, you know, if you're good at aiming, it doesn't really matter that much. Here, I'm trying my best to actually do anything against the Fizz, who obviously hit a ult from pretty long range, and there's nothing I can really do. I get one shot, I pushed up a little bit too far. Now, this shows, you know, this is not good gameplay from me, but this, you know, mistake from me does actually demonstrate the weaknesses of Jhin. So it's really good for this guy, not good for me winning the game, but really good for this guy about how Jhin has no mobility. The moment I get hit by Fizz's ult, basically I know I'm dead. The only thing I can try to do is to try to trade onto him. Another option I did have actually was to actually just take the tower instead, force the tower, but I did think with my exhaust, I did think that I could try to trade the kill onto him, although he was at full health. But you know, I don't really know how much damage Jhin does after the buff, so I was sort of just testing out to see how much damage can I really do with the Jhin pick. Now here I tried ult again and hit pretty much nobody again. But Riven, you know, somehow goes in between our 2 towers and basically donates the kill over to us. And here you see typical Jhin problems of low attack speed, can't really secure the kill. That's kind of just a Jhin thing. Here I'm just going to clear out the wave using all my spells basically. Instant wave here again, get the reload, and I'm just gonna get the mid lane tower. Now, because the mid lane tower is always something you want to get, which really opens up the map. Top lane tower is really low as well, so the moment we get top lane tower, we're gonna have a lot more map control. The only tower that falls on our side is, of course, my top lane tower. But, you know, that's relatively fine. The Cloud Dragon is coming up in 15 seconds, which is always going to be a point of contest, because Cloud Dragon pretty much is the best dragon. Now, Rip Cloud Dragon is going to be gone when Elemental Rift comes around. But yeah, so here, obviously, we're all going to contest the dragon. Now, all I see here is a lot of just you know, rocking around. Here, I see a fight happening here. And I actually do choose to flash over, but in the end, it's pretty much a wasted flash. Nothing happens. Now, this is pretty much a guaranteed Cloud Dragon from my team, so I'm not going to waste time attacking Cloud Dragon. I'm instead going to get the tower goal from the top lane tower. Then I'm going to go back to Dragon and see, you know, just pretty much just contribute 1 bullet to it. No big deal. And yeah, so here we got all the tier 1 towers. My team has a lot of pressure on the map. Here I'm ulting again to try to see if I can slow down the enemies for my team to catch up. Alright, so now that this brings up a very good point about discussing Jin's ultimate. Now, Jin's ultimate basically has 2 main uses. The first main use is after the entire fight is over, you can use it to... Alright, before we talk about that, let's talk about the fight here. I get the kill onto Nami, and I'm just pretty much staying at a safe-ish position and unloading on whoever I can. Happens to be the Riven. I get a triple onto Ari, and I'm going to be chasing down this Jinx for the Quadra. And I get it stolen by the Galio. But, you know, it doesn't really matter. Quadra is Jin's favorite, of course. You know, Jhin, we don't go for Pentas, we go for Quadras, and our Quadra got stolen by Galio. So back to the point about Jin's ultimate. There's two main uses you can have. I guess there is a third one, but the first main use of it, and the most obvious one, is to snipe out low HP targets after the fight. The second one is actually to join the fight when you are really far away. For example, there's a fight going on at the Rift Herald, for example, and you're walking out from base like how I am now. Imagine there's a fight going on at Rift Herald now. I reached like about the red buff pit. I can start ulting and start shooting, so I can at least do some damage, you know, and contribute some kind of damage to my team before I even reach there. And the last sort of use of the ultimate, which is the rarest one that you see, is using your ult to initiate. So basically, like if you saw just now in the mid lane, like when we were chasing down the Riven and friend, basically if your whole team is chasing or something like that, you can actually ult to initiate, which is sort of the worst use of his ult because it does scale with missing health. But you can ult to initiate, use the ult to slow down the enemy champions, which allows your team to catch up or allows your team to get in there and, you know, just go for the fight basically. So that's the kind of three uses of the Jhin ultimate. So here Riven goes in way too deep, pretty much 1v5 and she just dies for it. And Camille going in really deep as well, flashing forward. Here we spot out the Jinx. Jinx is by herself stuck under the tower. Nice sidestep by the Jinx on my W, but she has no chance 1v3. Camille goes unstoppable and we can easily just clear out the wave. Now Rift Herald is going to be able to push and get the mid lane tower, so no big deal there. We get the mid lane tower pretty easily. I'm just picking up the wave. Why not? Galio goes in way too deep again. My whole team keeps going in so deep. Here I'm just trying my best to help him out by doing some damage. I'm at least putting pressure on the Fizz so Fizz can't you know, do too much. I exhaust the Riven for him as well, but now Riven has finished up the kill on him and is chasing me. I did make a bad decision by picking up the honey fruit, slowing myself and allowing her to catch up. But thankfully, with my slows on the Stormraizer and the E as well as my movement speed, I was able to kite her out. Here I finally hit an ultimate onto the Riven to kill her, but I missed all the rest of the shots. So there was kind of a lag in the replay there. I remember this when I was recording the replay. I was like, what was that weird lag? Like, this is a replay, why is it lagging? But it did lag in the replay. So either way, it's fine. We're just gonna move past that and we're gonna just talk about the rest of the video. So yeah, so here we recall we have our 3 items as well as the Zhonya's Hourglass. In this case, I chose to go for Zhonya's Hourglass because if I get hit by the Fizzle, I need to use stasis that. If not, I'm not surviving that. If Fizz wasn't around, I would probably go for the Proto Belt just to kite out, like, you know, the Riven and dodge Ahri charms a little bit easier. But yeah, so here Mountain Dragon coming up in 10 seconds. So you want to sort of posture towards going toward that Mountain Dragon. Of course, before getting an objective, you want to get mid lane priority. The reason for that is if you win a huge team fight and at an objective, you have a mid lane wave to push down. Whereas if you don't do that, sometimes that makes the difference between losing and winning a game. So here, enemy team isn't really contesting the dragon all that much. They're more busy clearing the mid lane wave and clearing the top lane wave. I secure the dragon, and here I'm opening my ult again. Fizz stasis though, so I don't actually manage to hit him. Galio picks up the kill onto Fizz. I think that would have hit the Fizz if he didn't die. But it doesn't really matter. I got my 4-shot, but I accidentally 4-shot the Krugs. Not the best thing in the world. So now, pretty much the enemy team is all just retreating. I was thinking we were going to go for the tower, but my whole team just goes into the enemy base and tries to get some kills. So here I'm just, I decide against that. I decide to go for the, you know, the more consistent play of just going for the tower, which is to secure some goal for me, myself, and my team guaranteed, instead of going for the risky play. Now I've gotten the tower, my team is still alive, still, you know, causing trouble for the enemies inside their own base. So here I'm really cautious not to get hit by the Ahri charm, because if I get hit by that, I can get instantly one-shot by the enemy team. So here, my whole team finally decides to back off. So here, I'm just going to recall and probably get my Mortal Reminder. There we go. Mortal Reminder has been completed, and I'm going to be going for the GA in this match if we even get that far. Now, I guess we are not going to get that far because as you guys can see, we only have 1 minute left, so we're not going to be getting a GA in this match. But I would have gotten a GA because mainly of the Fizz and the fact I can get picked with the Ahri charm, really dangerous. Now here, Ahri uses her spells onto Galio, which allows me to basically free fire on her. Galio tries a E flash, which doesn't really work out. but you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So here, Jinx is on the run. I get hit by the Nami bubble, but I know I can kill the Jinx. I use the movement speed of attacking the minion off the fleet. I flash, 4-shot, boom, 750 crit onto Jinx, and she dies. Here I exhaust the Fizz because I know he's going for me. Stasis to block the damage from the E. I slow him with my E, and then I 4-shot, not 4-shot, yeah, actually yes, 4-shot. I 4-shot Q him for the kill. Now you should generally Q 4-shot because 4-shot skills are missing health, but you know, it works in this instance. So now we're just going for the end. I'm just unloading onto Riven so we can get a free kill before we end, and we're gonna just end the game right here. Alright, so yeah, as usual, if you guys enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll leave you guys with the stats. So thank you so much for watching the video, and goodbye.